Welcome to Caldwell Courtside. I'm Devin Long, and I'm joined by my co-host, Michaela Frias. Today, we're joined by Yotes Baseball player, Chandler Stocking. Chandler, would you like to tell us about yourself, like what position you play and where you're from and, all that fun stuff?
Yep. So I'm from Midway, Utah. I lived there for most of my life, and then I went to a junior college in Oregon. I went to Southwestern Oregon Community College for 2 years. They're both COVID years. And then I transferred to Alabama A&M University, Division I school there. And then I've been here for this my second year game. And I play shortstop. And yeah.
Perfect. So we're going to kind of just jump right into it. So we want to ask you about your transfer experience from a Division I school into C of I. So tell us about that and kind of how that went for you.
All right. So I've loved it so far. It's definitely a little bit different. They both have their goods. They both have their bads. Overall, like the competition we played there is similar to the competition we played here. Like the best players on our team, the best players on the teams that we played was just as good as the teams we played there. So like that hasn't been much different. This is definitely like a smaller school, so I feel that it's more like a family. I feel like closer to my teammates and then just overall everyone at the school. So that's been really nice, going from like bigger to work so more alone to now closer to everyone. So I really enjoyed that, but overall it hasn't been too different, but I really like this school. So
that's awesome. And then, last year, you're part of the Yotes. What were your key takeaways from last season?
Key takeaways? Well, I had a pretty good year defensively. My biggest thing with that was just stay locked in every pitch. I just tried to focus because you never know when the ball's coming to you. So if you expect every pitch, then you're ready for it. And that helped me have success on the field or on defense. And then at the plate, it was just, I felt like I wasn't really swinging at pitches I should have swung at. I wasn't being as aggressive as I should have. So going into this fall, that was my big takeaway was I'm going to make that my goal to be more aggressive, swing at more pitches I should. And I feel like I accomplished that. So now I just got to take it in the spring.
Yeah.
But as a team, it was just we just needed to play together more, pitch well, then hit well. We got to pick up our pitchers as hitters, and when we hit good, our pitchers got to pick us up. And it was just kind of put it all together. We do one thing good, but then we do one thing bad. But this year, we need to put it all together.
So kind of as you mentioned in answering that last question, how did you guys come together as a team in deciding what those takeaways from last season were going to be and how you're going to apply it to this season?
Okay, so the biggest thing with that is obviously preparation. When last year we didn't really have our big facility that we had, and that made a big difference because it's snow. We were out in the snow just hitting balls off a tee, and then we'd have to go face some really good arms in a weekend series. So I think just as a team, we want to be more prepared this year. We're using our facility to our advantage, all our machines. We're trying to see pitch shapes from the machines that we'll see on the weekend series, and just trying to replicate what we're going to see instead of last year. We didn't really have access to that. So it made it really hard to be more prepared. So I think as a team, we just want to be more prepared for each weekend series and not prepared for the whole season, but we want to narrow it down and be prepared for each pitcher we're going to face each day.
Looking forward into the spring season this year, are there any conference matchups you're looking forward to or any matchups at all?
I'm really looking forward to LC State. Last year, we had some really good battles with them. When we were at their place, we got super close a couple times, and when we were here, we took 2 from them. We had the opportunity to take 4. So I think we can get some revenge this year. And if we play well, we can go after them. And then Warren Pacific, I got a junior college teammate that was one of my best friends from there. He's playing there this year. I haven't seen him for a long time. So it's going to be awesome to play against him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And as you were last year, one of the key defensive factors for the Yotes, talk about what your guys' team is going to look like this year defensively with some of the new players that you have coming in and returners.
Defensively, we're going to be super strong. I think that's going to be one of our strong suits. And that was one thing that one of the previous questions I didn't talk about was we figured out in the fall what our strengths were. We found that defensively we're going to be a strength. We found that we need to play small ball because we're not going to drive balls out of the park. Things like that. We're just going to need to pick our strength or realize what our strengths are and then use those to our advantage. And we got some young guys coming in that are really good defensively. We got outfield returning. We got some really good guys. So I think defense is going to be our strong suit. We play good defense and use our small ball like we practice in the fall. We'll have a really good year.
Nice. And then you guys have a really big roster on campus. So having a big roster like that, how does leadership work on your team? How do you guys push each other to get better in the offseason? Is it self-driven? Is it the upperclassmen? It's on the underclassmen or coach, player? How's it go?
So we're pretty close as a unit. We're super close as a team. Like, it's not really upperclassmen, lowerclassmen. The lowerclassmen do a really good job of learning from all the upperclassmen. They use them to their advantage. They ask questions. We have a lot of older guys that hit with younger guys on the daily. We have a lot of guys. We just mix together really well. And there's not like a hierarchy necessarily, but we just kind of do it all together. And using like that big roster is huge for the season because only 9 guys can play. So obviously not everyone gets to play. But like using that to our advantage, all the guys on the bench in the dugout having energy, building up, picking up the guys that are playing when things are going right. Like just being together. And I think we've done a really good job in the fall of being as close as we could with each other. And if we use that to our advantage in the spring and just have energy and do the guys on the bench need to do their job just like the guys on the field need to do their job. And it's the key to success. So we have this thing called K-Court. It's just pretty much holding each other accountable. We have a meeting every Monday after our weights, and if there's a teammate that did something that you don't like or like they went against the culture of our team, then you can call them out and they have to pay a little fine. It used to be a fine, but now we're making it a little bit bigger. You got to go to morning conditioning on Wednesdays. So it's really just good to like, it like keeps you in check. You got to make sure of the small details because if you can't do the little small things, then how are you supposed to do the big things on the field? So doing things like not wearing your hat backwards, doing things like cleaning up after yourself in the cafeteria and like turning your homework in on time, not being on your phone in class, things like that, just like help build the culture of the team. And then when you have a strong culture, starting with the little things, then that's how you roll into the season and complete the big things as a unit. So it's a pretty cool thing we do and just helps hold everyone accountable.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like kind of how you touched on that and how that plays into your guys' accountability throughout the entire year, not just during season. But for you as an individual, what is some of the mental preparation that you do in preparing for each series?
For me, visualization is huge. One of the biggest things, I had a coach tell me that your brain doesn't know when you're not doing it. So like just sitting there and like visualizing success on the field, visualizing defensive success, visualizing offensive success. It's always been a key for me, and it just helps me like go into the game with confidence. And in baseball, in softball, when you don't have confidence, you're not going to play well. And so that way with most sports. But so just having the like visualizing gives me the confidence I need to go into the game. And then one other thing too, I love watching baseball. So I'll watch like highlights on YouTube. I'll watch all the college games that get posted on YouTube, like the highlights. Yeah. I'll just watch like major leaguers making plays in the infield, and it just like fires me up and like gets me mentally ready to play. So
it's awesome. And then as a baseball player, do you have like a specific pregame song like you go to? And then like what's your walk-up song going to be this year? Or like what's your Pats walk?
Okay. So last year it was called Rival by Landco. I'm a big country guy. So pregame, I listen to a lot of country music. I like old country music. A lot of Chris LeDoux in there, Alan Jackson and stuff like that, George Strait. Just like some old stuff. It kind of like calms me and just like makes me happy. And then walk-up song this year, I'm still working on it, still trying to decide, but I got a couple options.
Yeah.
From the south.
That's good to hear. And kind of, just a little bit more on the fun side of kind of the preparation. Take us through briefly a breakdown of what your like pregame routine is.
Pregame routine. So if we have like an afternoon game, I got the whole morning. I like to wake up and like eat a good breakfast. I feel better when I eat some good food. And then I just spend the whole morning like watching baseball. I'll watch highlights like I mentioned before. It just kind of like gets me in the mood to play baseball. And then I'll go to the field about an hour early before we all have to get there. And I like to stretch. Being there and stretching gets me loose and ready. And then while I'm stretching, I do my visualization. And then we roll into batting practice. I do my individual defense off the wall, so I can get my glove ready before we start everything, and then we roll into batting practice and get after it.
You went from JUCO to D1 to NAIA. What advice would you give to a prospecting high school student athlete who wants to play college, who's unsure about the college journey? What would you give that advice to that high school athlete?
My advice would just to have fun. Whether you want to play in college or whether you want to play in the big leagues, like whatever you want to do, just have fun playing the game. You play better, your journey is more fun. When you show up to the field and you don't want to be there, then it makes it a lot more difficult to like make things happen, and it makes it like you want to go home. But when you show up to the field wanting to be there every day, want to have fun, and it makes working hard better too. Like the harder you work, the more likely you're gonna reach your goals. If you have a goal in mind, then do something every day, 1% better every day. That was the biggest thing for me. was I did something to get me 1% better each day, and it slowly built up over time. And when I look back of how I was as a player in high school, like it's strides different. It's crazy how different it is. But just from doing 1% better and trying to have fun on the journey, then it got me to where I was at. So biggest thing, have fun, work hard every day.
No, that's such great advice, and we really appreciate you being here, Chandler. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Yote fam, for tuning in to another episode. We hope to see you again in the next one.